in a couple of different churches, and we have a little ATV machine that we drive up the hill. And so whenever everybody hears the machine coming, then that's when all the kids start running to the church because they don't have electricity at home, so they can't play video games and they're not watching TV. And so they know there's activity at church, and so they come. So that's kind of exciting. But recently, and since 2020 with COVID and everything, the way it hit here, we were bracing ourselves because watching the news and Wickly following everything, like even before it started, he's like, something's going to happen. He says, I'm seeing this is coming and I don't know what we're going to do. But we were very scared, as you can imagine, because the healthcare in Haiti is not good. And so just from hearing how people were getting sick and dying, we just didn't know what to expect. But thank goodness, somehow, God put his hand on us and we were able to be spared. We did not have it the way it affected everyone here. And I know everybody has lost someone, whether it's close or not so close. And our family has also. Wickly's mother passed away in January with that, and we were not able to go to New York to be with the family, but with technology, we were able to gather his family at Kiona, where we live, and we were able to watch things live over the televised funeral service. And so just different things. It's changed us in Haiti, even though we didn't get affected the same way. Everybody had to put masks on if they were going out, and it affected our school and even kids club. Instead of having 150 kids, we were able to narrow it down and do it smaller and close to home. And this year, sometimes you just kept asking yourself, what is our ministry? What are we doing? Because it just seemed like everything kept getting broken up, including our village that we worked in at Carias. The people from the mountain came down and they were terrorizing the people and wanting to take the land of the people that lived there and where our ministry was and where we had bought land and built our school and our church. So it ended up that, as Wickly said, thank goodness he doesn't put all of his eggs in one basket, that we had a couple other properties where we had buildings. And so we were in the States and came back, and he had received half of the village from Carias at our home. And so that didn't leave a whole lot of room for us. And so we moved over to another property with the kids. And in the meantime, things were getting stirred up in Haiti. There was rioting, there were roadblocks, and there were strikes. And so nothing could circulate. There were times we were stuck in our compound for like 2 weeks at a time just because we couldn't get out to get supplies because there were fires burning and other things happening that made it not safe. And so even our churches, not just because of COVID, but because of the unrest in the country, things were just kind of narrowed down and people stayed close to home. They were afraid to go out. This is one of our churches downtown in Port-au-Prince, which is a hot spot, but it continues to function, and they have anywhere from 50 to 200 people on a given Sunday, and it's still functioning, and that's where we lived in Port-au-Prince with the children's home for 10 years. The other good news is that our school has continued to function. So when the village kind of turned into a ghost town, we moved the school to a temporary position where we were receiving all the people. And then this year, Wickly has done some construction. And if you look afterwards out there at the display, you kind of see the progress of the construction at our new site. And we were able to put a second story and cover that starting in like January, February, March, and got that ready. And so in September, they were able to start school. These are a few of the students. And one of our preschool classrooms, we have preschool through 9th grade, and we ended up with about 70 students this semester, which was up from last year when it was in the temporary space. We had about 30. Before that, at Carias, we'd had 180 students was our maximum. And so we're excited that that's still going on, even though we're here. And so that's why we want to let you know that your support is definitely still needed and that those things are still functioning, even though we're temporarily here in Iowa. As I said, the kids come back and they bring those grandkids along. And as Cheryl said, those are a lot more fun than you thought. So we have a lot of them that are staying with us, and a couple of the girls are staying with us and their kids. And so they attend our school and live there in the compound. In James, it talks about taking care of widows and orphans in their distress. And I never really understood that until going to Haiti. And our ministry at first was the children's home, and many of those were orphans. And then Buell in the center there, she's a cousin of Wickly's, but she was a widow. We have Senana, who is our wash lady and just general cleaning person, and she is a widow also. And so just several different people like that we've been able to minister through the years and help them with their families and see them grow. Right before we were getting ready to leave Haiti, we were coming back here intending for Kelsey to stay in Bedford and go to school and stay with my sister to finish high school. And Josiah was going to do online classes and continue back in Haiti with us. But once we got here and the president was assassinated and there was all this unrest, our people kept telling us, please don't come back yet. It's dangerous. And then they had the kidnapping of 16 Americans and one Canadian that you may have heard of on the news. And so they're like, please don't come back. You're better and you can help us where you're at. And we know you're safe and you're alive and we're not worried about how we're going to get money raised or try to get you out of the kidnapping situation. So right before we were ready to come out for that, one of the girls that we had raised, her daughter came, and her daughter had lived with us till she was about 12 and then gone back and been passed around. And what we were trying to avoid happened. So she showed up on our doorstep at age 17 with a 7-month-old baby and nobody to help her take care of it. So, of course, we took them in. And so that was 2 that we added to the household. And this is our kitchen on Saturday. That looks kind of what that looks like. Everybody goes to the marketplace and we get all of our fruits and vegetables and our meat to make a meal on Sunday. And we prepare some of our spices and things. And so it's a big team effort. But we also gained some other people along the way that we weren't expecting. And this is our little living room. Doesn't look like here, but it was home to us. And we just kept adding some more people into that area. This is where we were working to start the second story on top for the school. But in the meantime, one of the people that came is Dora. She's on the right-hand side here. And her mom and dad came. We met them. And they came a couple more times within about 2 weeks. And the third time they came, they brought a garbage bag with her pillow and some clothes and some flip-flops. And they brought us some watermelon and bananas. And they said, Dora's going to stay with you because we're afraid that she's going to get kidnapped, because she would go to school on the back of a motorcycle and everybody seeing her light-colored skin, they were afraid that she was going to get kidnapped. And so she came to stay with us. The other one is one of the daughters of the girls that we raised in the children's home, and her son was sick, and so she sent her daughter and her son, her other son, to stay with us. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. This is Dora's dad. He is an American, but he's married to a Haitian lady. And at the same time, a few weeks after Dora came, he showed up and he says, my wife told me to pack my bags. I'm going to stay with Kiki and Dee. And so we gained another one. And so it was just really funny how God filled up our house with people and lots of things to take care of and lots of service, to give to one another. And he also added to the church service, because Wickly has an accordion that he plays sometimes, and Roger enjoyed playing music for us also. It was also through him that we met a man who came to visit from the Dominican. He's a Haitian man, but a friend of their family. And once he saw everything that Wickly was doing, he said, "You need to come to the Dominican because if you can do all this here under all this pressure and such bad circumstances, I think there's great things that you can do to help people in the Dominican." And so we just kind of kept that in our hat. And after we got ready to go to the States, Wickly was sick right before that. We don't know if it's, part of the COVID or whoever knows what it was, but he had high fever and had to end up having an IV. The good part is we have Monique, that's Mark's wife, and they've been with us serving there at Carias, and she's a nurse, so she can come right to the house and give him the IV, and she was able to get some antibiotics and different things. And so for about a week, she was able to take care of him so that we could avoid going to the hospital. This is Jameson there with Josiah, and he's one of the kids way back, if you remember, anybody remembers that long ago when Berea Children's Home is where I first went to work. He was one of the first children that they took, and he was a baby. He was 3 years old, but he only weighed 11 pounds, and he'd never spoke, and he couldn't walk. And the mom wanted to borrow $5 so she could buy a coffin to bury him. And unfortunately, Wanda, who was a nurse, was able to find a pulse and then know that he was alive, and she was able to get tubes into him. And finally, she was able to help him survive. And when they went to give him back to the mother, she said, "No, he's just going to die. Please keep him and take care of him." And so Jameson is not looking like it, but he's about 35, and he has some mental problems and handicaps because of being malnourished for so long. But he's the right-hand guy. Everybody knows Jameson. If you come to visit us, he'll help do everything. So, but the life in Haiti had just gotten to be difficult because of the things going on in the street and the uprisings. And you can see back here how much more calm this situation is out in the country with the guy on his motorcycle or bicycle instead of a mule or a donkey carrying his bananas or his plantain to the market. But it just became more and more difficult. And even the ladies who would come to the market each day, being up at 3 in the morning, getting on a truck to carry their produce to the market, they couldn't go. And so you can imagine what happens with that produce. It starts to rot because there's no electricity to keep it and conserve it, which in turn made the situation worse for everybody because they couldn't just eat all of their cabbage or all of their carrots. And so it was difficult for everyone. And it just continued to escalate after the president was killed. Even the day we were coming to the airport, we got up really early to try to make sure that people wouldn't be stopping us on the road. And we made it there safely, and we were very thankful for that. But it's the first time in 29 years that we were actually just relieved to be on the plane and in America because people are always like, "Well, aren't you afraid?" Well, we haven't been in the past. We just know what areas to avoid or what areas are hot spots, and it's just escalated all over the country. And we still know some of our missionary friends that are there. This is our president, Jovenel, that was assassinated. But just, I'm going to have Wickly come up and share with you to finish here. But you see the island, we're on this side, on the left side, the orange is Haiti, and you see Port-au-Prince, and then the other side is the Dominican Republic. And Wickly was able to visit there and to go with the man that we met, Fresnel, and he's going to come up and tell you a little bit about the options that we have there and how we will still have things going on in Haiti, but we'll be able to take things across there to help the things there.
Good morning. I'm glad that I'm here and that you got me to say something in your church. Um, the Jesus came to earth. He was doing three things: teach us the gospel, which is the process that would get us to be with Him, and teaching us love is how to get along with our neighbor and take care of the most needed. The third thing is to be missionary, is to take the gospel and the love with it, which in it, to the far away people. And being missionary is leaving your comfort zone and go to a place that you don't have anybody and people don't know you. But always Christ always prepared for people to receive you. When Paul was hit on the road while he was going to persecute Christians, he was knocked on the ground, and Jesus told him why he's persecuting him. And then he said, Lord, what shall I do? And he said, go to Damas, they'll tell you what to do. And he already talked to the people there, telling them Paul is coming. So he always prepared when he sent us. And sometimes we hard-headed, we don't want to go, but he make it happen. Um, we've always been wanting to go to the Dominican Republic to start something, to work. Even if sometime I go there to buy our groceries and stuff like that, but not to preach the gospel. Dominican Republic is that I wasn't born there. I wasn't born there, but I'm from there because my great grandma is from the Dominican Republic, and we before we leave to come to America, and we met a friend. We met somebody, and as he was looking at the work that I have done in Haiti, and he said, "You've worked a lot, and if you come to the Dominican, the people there could help you work better." And as we were going to the States, I couldn't go with him. And when I got to Florida, I fly back to Santiago and met him. And now when I would come there, I find that the people are almost like the people in Haiti. They need somebody. They need something new. And they need the gospel. And the way they receive me, well, and I feel like home. And that's I tell them about who I am and what I do, and they're ready to receive me and to listen to the word that we're giving them and stuff like that. So we I went there a second time, and the first time I went, I was living out of the village, and the wife of the friend that I came to find, she said, "No, I can't stay far away like this. I must come to the village." And they brought me there and rent a house so I can stay and stuff like that. So there is a building that they're building and there's a lane in front of it. The land is for sale. We are trying to see if we could buy the land so we could build our compound to function and rent the building so we could stay and receive people who would come see us. So
Like you guys.
yeah. So we are planning to go work because it's difficult. We can't yet come to Haiti, which I'm hoping that something must change in Haiti because life can't stay like that in a country. And but while waiting for Haiti to change, we will be working at the Dominican Republic. And if possible, we can drive for 1 or 2 days there to visit what we've been doing. But things are going okay, except for DNI's presence are very difficult because people think we have the money and because we do things because we have people, we would be an easy spot to get kidnapped, and which not will not be good. So we just a lot of missionaries are trying not to go to Haiti right now, but we are hoping that the country will change and that things could be normal for us to work there. And so we we have to buy this piece of land, and so we already have $10,000 as a down payment for the land, and we would have to buy the piece of land for 60,000, and we have 50 more thousand to give, and we're hoping that God would open the door, that people would start, contribute so that we would buy this piece of land, and so we could do the ministry because that's what Jesus did. There's three things: give us the gospel, which is the process for us to be with Him, and love is get along with our neighbors and take care of the most needed, and the mission, which is live in your comfort zone and go far away, give the word to the people that need it. And we thank you for receive us, and we glad we're here. Thank you.
And so in the meantime, we're living in Bedford. We were staying with my sister, but it became possible for us to buy a house there, and it's close to the school. And so we're working on Wickly's residence at the same time because that will make it easier for him to travel back and forth. Since he's 18, he's had a visa that he traveled on, but we never had time to sit over here, for 3 to 6 months, which is how long it takes to get that. And so in the meantime, pray for him because he's stuck like a fish out of water in this cold in Bedford in the house. In the meantime, I'm getting my CNA license, and I've been working at the nursing home at least part-time to help so that we can afford everything and keep things going. And hopefully things will open up and he'll get his residence also, and that way he can be traveling to the Dominican and getting some things set up. In the meantime, we're doing it over the phone. Like you said, we have 10,000 for our down payment, and so pray for that, especially that will work out for us, and pray for our people there in Haiti because it's difficult to wake up every day just kind of like you're already stressed and bristled because you don't know if there's going to be shooting or burning tires or what kind of craziness is going on. And so we definitely pray for those people that are behind in Haiti as they continue. Our churches continue to meet. We have about 15 churches throughout the countryside and in Port-au-Prince, and so they're continuing their services, and our school is continuing. But we just ask that you would pray for all those things, and we thank you for letting us be here to share this morning.